Seems to be the society. What about on that? You're talking medical marijuana, and your case is for the interest. What do you think about the movement beyond that toward making it as a recreational, consciousness transforming vehicle for the citizens, that should be made available to the people of the world? We got people killing each other, bringing it up from Mexico and everything. Terrible drug wars. People.
Why should I and my few friends be the only ones that can benefit from it?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
This is something that, as I said before, every single one of us can take a seed, drop it in the soil, and grow a plant.
Right.
Every single one of us can do that.
Right.
Some of us are going to kill it, but some of us can grow it to fruition, and we're going to be able to make medicine out of it, or whatever our plans and ideas for that. So, who is to say, as we said before, who is disabled, who is enabled? Who needs that for their day-to-day walk in life, for their what they go through, and why not feel better with less side effects?
Well,
you definitely. I mean, we're in a society where alcohol is legal. You can definitely take alcohol. Not a problem. Go get drunk. You feel better.
Smoke cigarettes if you want.
Smoke cigarettes makes you feel better. Have Coke.
You're really bad stuff.
Go tan.
Okay, now you've got onto something else. You've gotten onto something else now, and he was talking about the receptors. Well, he's talking about the receptors, and it's only the last 30 years that we've known how the brain works. We didn't know neurotransmitters 30 years ago. We didn't know they existed. And so
we still don't know how the brain works.
No, but we're getting more and more.
I don't even know if the brain works.
What did you say?
Point well taken, Barbara Rosenfeld.
Well, one of the things I've learned is the more I think, the less I know, the less I think, the more I know.
Well, there's a lot to know. But what about the other drugs and the claim that anything that affects consciousness is a gateway to something more? So there would be back in the 70s.
That takes away that fear of, rather than us being one with our Creator, it's saying that there's a separate Creator that doesn't allow us to be the same as Him. So
well, the Creator is that's a view of the universe that may or may not be relevant. Yeah. But I'm thinking about the other things, like in 1970 we had Woodstock Festival. They just had a rerun of that on the television the other night. And that's a very major time in which things were going on. But there was a lot of LSD then. Timothy Leary, and there was LSD, and that was another thing that affected the same receptors and the neurotransmitter ratios in the brain between the axons that make up the brain, and set a pattern that was similar to what marijuana was. It was called being high, except it was on a larger level. So there's that. Or then what about if you start going over into cocaine or into the other drugs that people do to affect consciousness? And does the society have fear of something that's going to affect consciousness to keep people out of the surf-like attitude that Joe was just talking about? There's television.
Well, yeah, there's that. I mean,
Advertising.
Yeah, advertising, television. I once did a program with Timothy Leary, and he said in terms of the effect of consciousness change, the drugs were very much apropos with the No, but let me make the point. Ken Kesey and that. And he said that far more important than the drugs that we were taking, LSD, pot, and that kind of thing, in terms of affecting a change of consciousness, was the was the technology. The technology, the drugs were just a frosting on the cake. And the thing that was really bringing massive change to the situation of humanity within a larger context of universal consciousness was the technology that was coming. And the technology was coming inexorably. So what I'm saying, we were a time of qualitative change. And perhaps liberation from a historical context is like a nightmare of injustice, and we may be coming to a new order. But how do you relate to the other uses of drugs to alter consciousness other than to relieve pain?
Whatever steps
well, you put your own context on it.
Well, whatever steps you feel that are up your alley, whatever leads you to happiness, whatever takes you to truth. Who am I to tell you what way is truth, what way is happiness? You have to experience that for yourself. There is only one experience, and that is direct experience. Anything else is a half truth. We
You
cannot fully relate.
Do you think it'd be a good idea, Burton, to legalize all drugs to all people, whatever they want?
Yes.
All drugs, legalize everything to everybody,
Absolutely.
and let the dice fall where they were made? Or is there some drugs that should be limited because they have a deleterious effect?
I'm gonna answer that, and I'm gonna answer it by a roundabout answer.
One word.
Is that we need to change the mindset of the people.
Right.
So, where we're taking drugs and creating criminals, we need to look at what is the purpose? What are we looking for? What are we hiding up? What are we covering up that is bringing out this pimple? Every time you have something like that, that pimple is created by something being covered up.
Our murderous impulses. And
So-
our murderous impulses is what's behind the military-industrial complex. And that's a fact. You can easily get someone to kill somebody
Right,
before you
but so
can get
let
them to
let
have
me
pleasure.
finish, because this is a very important.
Before they can have what,
Why
dear?
do we have full legalization of drugs?
Yeah, okay, what about it?
We already have it. It's just
No.
our
No,
constitution, our
it is we
inalienable
need
right.
to
It's
look,
here.
we need to find why are we searching after these drugs? It's not a criminal search. Why is it a criminal search if I want to take a shot of heroin to forget about my pain and the troubles that's troubling my mind?
You know the answer to
Um,
that.
So,
because the
what we
money is
need to do
leaving
is change the
country.
mindset to saying, okay, we need to look at this in a healthcare or a wellness area mindset, not a criminal mindset. We're not criminals. Any drug user, any person that chooses to change their way of life is not a criminal.
That's why we have
But does it-
armaments.
No, I think the
That's a fact.
prevailing feeling is that it's escapism, that you're not really present with the rest of us suffering.
So
with
who
the
are you
rest
to
of
tell
us.
me that I can't escape? I can't go to Great Escape?
I'm
You
trying
tell
to-
me I can't spend 6 hours, and I'm being, no, let me
I
go
know.
on, and I'm, so what you're saying is that I cannot escape from the pain, so that there should be all pain medications eliminated.
I think the answer to that is that you have to demonstrate accountability to the rest of society, that you're more attentive, you're more aware, you're more responsible. All of them talk about serving others. Is the drug experience an experience where you're living in your own world, or is it an experience that you've been given new inspiration and a perspective that makes you have faith when others have lost their faith in the bitterness and the pain and the hardship?
Of reality.
Let me add something to this.
So it's
Oh, wait a minute,
education.
Joe's got a word
Let me
to
add
say.
something to this. Even if people are taking drugs to escape this society, this society
It should be escaped from,
It
right.
sucks.
Yes, yes.
So you can't blame them
Point
for
well
wanting to
taken.
escape from it.
Structurally,
But not just our
In
society.
any society.
world society.
World society.
To the firing range.
I
Because
just
we're-
don't get why
Part of
bullets are
practice on
legal
human
and
beings.
pot is not.
Bullets are
Bullets are legal, but pot is not.
Yeah.
You can buy
Bullets
bullets anyway.
kill, pot doesn't.
You see, we have to decide whether we can accept those that we already condemn. And we have to know who we condemn. It's not very difficult. But we do condemn. Do you condemn more? I do.
Sure.
All right.
But
But
those
then
people.
you're a warrior.
Right.
You know, we have to be able
That
to
cat
say,
makes all the trouble.
okay, I don't want to walk your path, but you have a right to walk the path you're walking.
Right.
And this has a great deal to do with your mindset.
And
That's not what
unfortunate.
this country's about. I mean, you know,
It's not
you
a
have
question
to.
of this country, it's the people in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're creating a global consciousness. It's something that, due to the internet and communication and other things, our consciousness is increasing on a global community.
Absolutely.
It's something that's getting stronger, and that's why, I try to be encouraging to people, you say the end of the world is coming, but no, there's not. There's a lot of people that have a different mindset, a very hopeful, optimistic mindset.
Even
So-
the Bolivians, they just voted a woman to be president in Bolivia.
In Bolivia? They did?
Yes!
Evo Morales is out?
Yes!
Brazil.
Brought in protest.
Brazil, not Bolivia.
Brazil,
Bolivia, not-
I
Brazil.
mean Brazil, pardon.
Thank you, big difference.
I'm sorry, you're right.
I was
You're
2
right.
years in
Huge
Bolivia, I
difference.
know that.
You're bragging like women are the answer. Could you imagine if Hillary Clinton was the president? God help
I
us.
wondered about that.
Well, it's fair to talk about the male and female functions in the universe,
I
but that's
think- yeah,
No,
another
I,
order.
think
I
we need
think,
to look
I
within
think it don't
ourselves and say
matter
no.
whether it's a male politician or a female
No, I said
politician.
in
They're all
universe.
sellouts.
In
Goes back
universe,
to
the
another
two.
mindset.
Yeah.
Male and
Well,
female functions in
They
universe.
are, you have to be a sellout in order to get
We can't
number
allow
one
women and also
funding and number
dynamic
two
like that.
support from all of the other
Right,
people
right.
in the party.
You have to be a sellout to make money.
If you are a
Harmony.
maverick, nobody wants to deal with you.
Right. That's why I never trusted Obama any more than I trusted Bush.
No,
And he's
he's a-
proven. He
he's a
came in
corporatist.
acting like he was like, oh, I'm gonna be cool on marijuana and I'm gonna let the states decide.
Inhale.
I'm gonna let the states decide for themselves. But yet he hasn't stopped the federal government from going in and busting people in California, even after the people of California voted it in.
Right.
But aren't things trending in the right direction as far as marijuana is concerned across the country?
I don't know.
No.
No. The same people that are keeping it illegal, that started keeping it illegal and that are benefit from the illegal are keeping it that way. Right now, they've created a prison industry.
Yeah.
They gotta keep putting people in there to keep those prison guards employed, and they gotta have police, and they need all those jobs for all those people. The Republicans are always saying we need less government, need less government. We haven't gotten less government in the past, in my lifetime. All we've gotten is more police and more laws and more police.
It's more government.
More government.
Now, I hate to throw a ringer into it, but Lord Keynes said in 1930 to a letter to his grandchildren that there in their maturity, which is now, there was going to be massive technologically induced unemployment. And the only way we have to get buying power, legitimately seemingly, into the hands of the masses of the people is for them to have a job picking up leaves on the estate of the feudal lords who own everything. And we're like serfs on a feudal estate. They don't have an economic policy to distribute demand buying power into the people. You're going to start coming up maybe with militias and things like that
Well,
in this country.
If marijuana was legal, it would create so much jobs in this country.
Why?
Every farmer, why?
Yeah.
Because it's such a valuable crop.
No, but if marijuana were really legal, why wouldn't you just have combines doing the whole state of Kansas and doing it all one company with nobody driving the combine and making the product
On
available?
one hand, that would be good because,
You wouldn't have to create jobs.
Yeah,
no,
but then you'd have to worry about Monsanto seed.
Well, Monsanto, yeah, well,
no,
okay.
but on one hand, it would be
Terminator
good
hemp
because
seed. I'm sure Monsanto.
they would be growing such vast amounts of marijuana. Marijuana, you can make the alcohol to run cars. They could run cars on. We could get off
Well,
the
probably
oil
better
standard.
than
Well, the diesel engine was
switchgrass.
designed on hemp oil.
No, but we have to stop using fuel that combusts altogether.
Yeah, but alcohol, when you burn alcohol, it doesn't pollute the atmosphere.
But listen, folks, when you get an algorithm,
Henry Ford's first cars ran on ethanol,
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
which is
that was
alcohol.
Henry Ford
And
used to
his first
tinker
crops,
in my grandfather's garage.
He made all the alcohol from marijuana.
Yeah, but listen, if they're going to have the free market, not the government, if you go in the government, you can have all kinds of make work. You can do all kinds of just any kind of assignment. You can do
You
that
go
in the
and get to
government.
watch the
But if you're
president
talking about the private sector, then if they've got an algorithm that can do with nothing practically what it took 200,000 people to do, they can put 200,000 people out of work, which means they have no way to get income. And if you do it with the private sector open to the market, a market solution to creating demand, buying power among the people, you're going to be up against it.
If
Because that's going exponential,
If
that
they took
curve.
the prohibition-
People are becoming out of sync with, and all they say is get a job. And there are not going to be jobs unless you vastly change the rationale by which you distribute demand.
if marijuana,
You'll have great supply, but you won't have demand, and that's what we're up
So you got the
against.
answer, Harold, but the problem is that people that know that don't want to be associated with marijuana. I've got binary economists, Robert Ashford, Norman Kurland, the Robert Schachenbach Foundation. They understand monopoly. But
Yeah.
they say, ooh, I don't want to do the marijuana. Don't get me involved.
Well, the marijuana is one side issue. It's a small
It's not a
issue.
side
No, it's
issue.
not.
I don't think
not.
it's anything more than...
economically, this country, if they did away with the prohibition, economically this country would boom.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
Because
Well,
there's
she
so,
wants to say, but go ahead,
there's so
talk.
much stuff can be made from marijuana.
Well-
the seeds have been food for man for thousands of years.
Yeah.
It's a very high protein.
Yeah, but why can't they automate that process?
Even if they automated it,
In the
they're
name
still
of a
gonna
market
need
efficiency.
farms to grow it.
Oh wait, Maggie, she's waving her hand frantically.
Okay, go ahead.
Rosalie.
We recognize Rosalie.
Ro-
Back before this country was founded, our first money was printed on hemp paper, but it was also backed by hemp. A dollar or whatever they named their currency was pegged to the price of a bale of hemp.
Right.
And so we had no gold, so we certainly did not peg our money to gold.
Yeah, but the growth of the economy had to do with coal and automobiles and roads and all kinds of buildings and all kinds of things other than hemp.
Before we had any time to do any of that,
Uh-huh.
the King of England became concerned because the economy of their little colony was doing so well, so they had to step in and replace it with the goddamned gold standard.
Well, gold standard cake. Yeah, but there's other aspects to the economy other than hemp. That's one small part of an overall economy.
I will quote.
You have all the factories, you have all the
Harold,
production.
I'd like to quote the Rig Veda.
Okay.
Rig Veda says man is the essence of the plants.
Well,
if
what does that
man-
mean?
If man is the essence of the plants, then that means the discoveries that the cannabinoid receptors are in man. There must be an intimate relationship between the human body and this particular plant.
Yes.
And
No, not necessarily. It's just they've
No,
got the
no,
ability
let
to
me
have
finish, let me
uptake.
finish.
They have the uptake of all the
No,
things
no.
that make for different states of mind. That's just neurotransmitters.
No.
We don't have
Because-
Coca-Cola and
Because
stuff.
if you listen
Maybe
really,
not.
if you listen really carefully to what Bert says, really carefully,
Yeah.
to why the opiates don't work for his pain, only hit up to a number 3,
Yeah.
whereas acupressure
Uh-huh.
and cannabis
Uh-huh.
gets up to a 6 or a 6.5.
Yeah.
There's some intimate relationship there. And the Henry George people always go, land, land, land. You know, you can't block the resources to land. But a plant comes from the land. So everyone goes about legalization and all these changes and Republicans and Democrats, but it's just as simple as access to a plant. That's all you need. And nobody questions, how did we ever lose access to a plant?
Well, Henry
It's
George
just
said there
access
should
to
be,
a plant.
Henry George essentially said all natural resources should be owned by everybody, which is a good idea, but it doesn't. Yeah.
Just give people either a spot in their backyard if they're lucky enough to own a house, and if they're not lucky enough to own a house, some access to where the plant grows. Go out and water it in your community
What
garden.
plant? You're talking about a hemp
I'm
plant?
talking about the plant that can take third-degree burns where the skin is hanging off and you have to cut it off, and the third degree is deep. You wrap it up in the hemp oil, and when you remove it, the bandage, it's healed.
Okay.
That's not
What
happening
does it
with
take,
just
like 4
any old.
days? 4 days for that to happen?
It's
Well, I
different
think
in different
there's-
cases. I'll tell you something I saw with my own eyes. I mean, it's very dramatic. They always talk about this being a body stone. It's something to do with healing our body.
Who's they?
People like Rick Simpson, who has an understanding and the experience of thousands of people. And now there's this group in Denver that
Yeah.
brought 100 people on board.
Yeah.
They had one guy with terminal cancer, and they kept him comatose for 10 days, souped up on 2.5 grams a day. It's just an ungodly amount. But he was going for it, and after 10 days, and mostly being comatose, he emerged cancer-free. Now, I'm saying it's not a matter of the drug being evil or not evil. I think it's education with it. This guy had a goal. He wanted to be cancer-free. He wanted to get this amount. It was 30 grams that Rick said is that sort of magic number to where the body seems to recalibrate. I haven't seen, or can I imagine, any designer drug with a certain high and experience here or there. I know about highs. I know about different mantras, different flavors, different tastes. But there's one body that we have, and when you feel how that body responds, you gravitate towards what's making it breathe deeper, what makes it sleep better, what makes it feel more vital when you're involved in whatever you feel your sole purpose is. Whatever you can do uniquely that no one else can do.
Well,
If
okay.
you are lined up with something that allows that to happen, your body comes along. Otherwise, you're off in a head trip. You want to bring it to your body. And it seems, you know, I'll look at other plants, but this seems to be the simplest one. It grows like a weed, it's accessible to everyone, and again, to quote the Soma Mandala, know that food to be good which is good for all mankind. So it's not just who can afford designer vitamins. I mean, you know, if you've got the money and you can pay $800 a month for vitamins, go for it. I did that at one time. I felt the benefit of them, but I thought, something isn't right here. If these expensive vitamins are making me feel better, but most of humanity can't afford them, that's not the solution I'm looking for. And this plant, it grows like a weed.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. I just think that everything's economic.
I
This
have,
is
That's,
economic.
that's very economic.
I have an idea.
Oh, wait, Maggie has an idea, okay?
Oh, no, I have an idea. What if we propose a hands-on experimental village, call it a commune, and the whole entire village is built on marijuana. The sources of energy, clothing, food, medicine, making brick walls, ropes,
Zeitgeist.
building materials,
That's a zeitgeist village.
and to make the fuel to run our engine, etc., etc. The whole entire village is dedicated to growing and using marijuana, hemp. And hemp has all different varieties. Some are medicinal, some are very good for rope,
Fiber, yeah.
fibers.
Cording?
So many ways to use it.
We just have to do it ourselves.
And the whole village is built upon this.
That village was survived by argument in court for its constitutional right to exist. That village would never happen if it
That was
didn't
shit.
have any organization.
Sorry.
Good
Because
try.
any organization that would
You going, Fred?
be, you have command of the money that monopolizes.
And whoever has command of the money will
I'll come
command
back toward
what
that.
happens in and outside the village.
So you think you can get it funded?
I don't know,
I'll
that would
try.
be extraordinary.
I'll join.
Enjoy that thing. They had a lot of communes back in the...
But why was marijuana?
Actually,
Wait a minute.
There's a community about 10 minutes from where I bought my house that was an attempt back a couple of years ago to live in a community, and it was open. But
Raul has...
just gotta-
But why was marijuana was
Wait, Raul's got something to say here.
made illegal in the first place?
37.
When was it made illegal?
1937 in the model. Right?
1937.
Anslinger.
I think
And
we're
why?
wrapping up. Can I say something in conclusion after you speak? I just want to say that I've had so many guests on my show, and I crewed for other people's shows, and this man, Bird Aldridge, was really true. I never saw anybody so efficient with his time. We spent 6 hours in the studios.
Yeah.
12 noon until 6 p.m.
Right.
We did shows back to back. We created 6 shows, and he never whimpered.
You're right.
He just kept moving forward.
Yeah.
We could see in the control room that he was in great pain towards the end of the shoots. But he soldiered on, and we made it to the last one, which is Shanti's. And I just want to thank you so much.
Absolutely. Give the man a hand for crying out loud.
You're welcome, and I want to thank you for this opportunity.
No, we thank you very much for all the work and everything, and all the best in terms of this incredibly tension situation you're in. Contentious.
Come back.
Oh, absolutely.
And then you walk out.
Well, I would very much like to walk.
I think this will be happening.
Anybody else got a closing word here before we, anybody got an encouraging word that they want to, never has heard an encouraging word, or?
We just want to get up to Woodstock.
Yeah, no, you got to get up to Woodstock with Bert. He's got to get up there and everything. So thanks a lot, Bert. Your pleasure. Let's give him a hand. Let's give Paul a hand. Joe Barton, Heroes All. So that's it. Okay, that's it, gang. We'll leave the camera running if anybody wants to sit in the chair and say something. Okay. So, I guess we're done.
This was really very, very good, very
You
meaningful.
thought it was
Wasn't it?
a beautiful time?
What's
Yeah,
it
he
like?
still is.
What
Yeah,
public
you-
access is about, community TV, we make the media.
All the time I get off the stage, it's gonna get.
So what do you think, Joe? They're gonna,
This is the best part of the novel. This is
in the
really
country?
good.
We lost it, we gotta
You are the
take it back.
government.
Take it back.
Right, you want to take it back.
We're gonna just make our voices. Find that voice in
No, I heard rumors. I can't. You gotta talk to them.